It had been a few months since Shadow Black ate the poison apple that made him fall into a deep sleep. Not a word was spoken and not a single movement happened, but one day the child cocoon began to crack open. While this was happening, Shadow the Hedgehog continued the story. A few months later, something marvelous happened, he said. The cocoon burst open, and out came a beautiful princess. The beautiful princess was a bat, resembling Rouge for the bat. She looked elegant and beautiful, just like any royal lady would look like. Lavinia Green walked up the stairs to the bedroom to check on the sleeping prince. When she came to the princess, "Who are you?" she asked. "Lavinia, you don't recognize me?" the bat said. "I was Chow that helped Shadow Black a long time ago." The other peasants followed the black cat. "So you must be Chow White," Tails said. "Yes, but my real name is actually Rouge White." She introduced herself with a bow. "That's a nice name," Amy said. Everyone else agreed. "Thank you," Rouge said. Rouge White, will you help us wake Shadow Black up?" Sonic asked. "Of course I can," she said. "Since I helped Shadow Black in the past, I must help him again." With that said, Rouge White walked up towards her true love and sat right down on the bed. She leaned in and kissed Shadow Black on the lips. After the kiss, the prince began to open his eyes. He felt that as if he slept for an eternity. The pheasants cheered at the sight of their friend finally waking up from his enchanted slumber. Shadow Black himself sat up on the bed while stretching and yawning. Then he held his stomach and groaned. "Oh, I think I got a stomachache after that apple." By that time he noticed Rouge White starting to look familiar to Chow White to him. Besides, the last time he saw the Chow White, he was poisoned. Regardless, Lissy fell in love with the princess. Have we met?" he asked Rouge White as she took her lover's hand and held it. "We have," she answered. "When I was just a Chow." Shadow Black took a bit closer look at her friend, and before he knew it, she actually was Chow White. She was really the one who helped him from his stepfather. "It is you," he said. The prince and the princess shared a smile along with the embrace. In addition, the royal couple shared a long-awaited kiss. Later that day, Shadow Black returned to the Ultimate Kingdom and took back his home. The pheasants, Sonic Blue, Tails Yellow, Knuckles Red, Amy Pink, Cream Orange, Lavinia Green, and Cheese and Rouge White were by his side. Soon, King Eggman was forced to be removed from the power. A wedding was held for the royal lovebirds. Shadow the Hedgehog continued the story. As soon as he returned to the Ultimate Kingdom, Shadow Black and Rouge White were pronounced man and wife, as well as king and queen, he said. The pheasants who supported the two had in the past that became their loyal servants. For King Eggman, he was thrown over the attempted murder, Shadow continued. Thus, he was sentenced to life in the dungeon. King Eggman, along with Metal Sonic and Princess Omelette, were in the dungeon from the account of attempted murder of their stepson. "Sire, would you like a piece of my bread?" Metal Sonic asked while holding a piece of bread. "Shut up, Metal Sonic," King Eggman snapped. "Okay then," his minion said in disappointment. "Daddy, would you like to have a piece of my bread?" Princess Omelette asked. Her father looked at her, but then he smiled. "I would like to have that. Thank you, dear," he said, taking his daughter's piece of bread. This made Metal Sonic jealous of the princess, thus he folded his arms and looked away from father and daughter a moment. As soon as the story ended, King Shadow Black and Queen Rouge White were applauded by a large crowd of people who lived in the kingdom. A lot of people were scared during Eggman's ruling and a king because of his harsh demeanor and tormenting punishments. Now that the new king and queen have arrived, they are no longer had to live in fear. The Ultimate Kingdom was now in forever peace, and harmony had returned at last. The new king and queen ruled the Ultimate Kingdom with peacefulness and happiness, Shadow the Hedgehog said. So King Shadow Black and his wife and their servants lived happily ever after. The end. And with that being said, Shadow closed the book. "That story was rather amusing," he said with a small grin. "What do you think?" He was kind of expecting the kids to go wild, but when he looked, he found them all sound asleep. Cream and Cheese were asleep in their beds, whereas Charmy and Bookend were snoring in their sleeping bags. Shadow couldn't believe that story actually worked. He stood up from the chair and he said, "Good night, little ones," and he walked out of Cream's room and closed the door. As soon as the bedroom door was closed, the Ultimate Lifeform said to himself, "Mission accomplished." Then he went to the living room and then sat down on the couch. realizing that it was getting pretty late for him as well. Shadow laid down and tried to get some rest, even though babysitting wasn't his cup of tea. He felt that tonight was worth it before he slipped into a quiet slumber. He reminded himself not to thank Vector and Espio for the opportunity to babysit. And that, my little pretties, was Shadow Black, a Sonic the Hedgehog, Snow White parody fanfiction written by Bailey Maloney. I want to thank you so much, Bailey Maloney, for sending me the story. It was very much appreciated. And I can definitely see that you made a couple changes and, fixed up the grammar and stuff like that. Which I could definitely say that I do appreciate, fixing it up a little bit and all that. So, yeah. And, it's been kind of like a long time. I think it's been almost a year since I last read that fanfiction. But, yeah, today we're going to be, I'm going to be keeping the review as short as I can because this one was really long. Well, not too long, but, it was a long story. I'm going to keep the review as short as I possibly can. Now, first of all, I like to say that this story was pretty good. Even when I first read it for the first time around, it's still a good story. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. Shadow Black, all the chapters were pretty good. Now, I know I did review all the chapters in, in separate videos. But in this case, I just decided I will just review, one chapter, just review it at the same time because I feel that it makes more sense. Okay, first of all, I like to say that this story was actually really good. Like, I liked everything about this story, like the concept. The fact that Shadow has to babysit one night, and even though he's not a fan of babysitting, which I do feel some people who do babysit that are not a fan of, I can definitely understand, not everyone's into babysitting, and, that's understandable. But at least Shadow Black knew what to do to keep the kids, that he's babysitting, asleep and stuff, which is very smart of him. Like, getting a story for him and for them and read them, that's actually very awesome. It's very awesome that Shadow Black has done that. Now, I can definitely say that there was a lot of time and effort put into the story, which that is a very good plus for that. Sorry about all the background noises you were hearing as I was reading. While I'm doing the review now, it's windy where I am, so I do apologize for that. And I could definitely tell that there was a lot included in the story, which is very good, actually. It's not, what's really sucks is that not a lot of creepypastas do this anymore. I mean, I don't understand why that's the case, but, I guess maybe, or even fanfictions for that matter, I guess maybe those are just the ones that don't get, entirely enough time to work or something. But other than that, this story was just flat out beautiful. Like, I could definitely say that this story actually did pretty good. Now, I'm going to keep the review as short as I possibly can, so I'm going to try to wrap this up as best I can. Now, first of all, I like to say that the concept itself was actually really nice. I like the concept itself. It's actually pretty cool. The grammar was amazing. The storyline of how the fan fiction went out. What is that? Oh yeah, and the sentence structuring worked very nicely, and the paragraph structuring. I actually thought it was actually really enjoyable. To be completely honest, that this story was actually pretty cool. Eggman doing all the things that he did. Which is really cool if you ask me. Because, with Shadow the Hedgehog in this case, eating an apple, and I had no doubt Dr. Eggman would do something like this. Like, I had a feeling he may do something like this. Well, I haven't seen Sonic in a long time. Well, the TV series, that is. So, this obviously makes me want to go watch Sonic again, even though I haven't seen that in years. Well, ever since I was a kid, actually. And I could definitely say, I would have no doubt, Sonic enemy, the Dr. Eggman would do something like that. Like, I could see Dr. Eggman doing something like that. Even though maybe that may not happen, but I could definitely see, Dr. Eggman doing something like that. Or Robotnik in this case. Well, it's technically the same name, but I call him Robotnik because, snooping as usual, I see. Well, I just thought I would decide to do it for fun because I'm bored. Okay, now I kind of said a lot, so I actually found chapter 1 to be really interesting. Chapter 2 was actually really good, which I can definitely say. Chapter 3 was also really good. Chapter 4 was actually pretty intriguing in a really good way. Because this is basically the story of Snow White, except it's a Sonic, version. It's basically a Sonic version with, gender bent, kind of like Snow White. So I didn't really mind that. Like, that's not a problem because, sometimes some people decide to do that when it comes to writing their stories. But, I don't mind gender bent characters every once in a while, but they do get kind of confusing every time. If you use them more often, they do get confusing. And I'm just only pointing out for the future. Just to kind of, explain it better. But other than that, this story was actually really good. Now, is there anything negative about this story that I didn't really specifically like? No. There's nothing negative about the story that I didn't like. There's nothing about the story that I didn't like. Chapter 5 was actually good as well. Now, it's pretty cool, to say the least. So, I could definitely say that the story actually did pretty good. Now, like I'm going to say right now, and like I'll always continue to say, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these, creepypastas, but in fan fictions in this case, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this fan fiction would have to be, for all the chapters, I'm going to give them all 10 out of 10, and the whole story gets a 10 out of 10. It's a great fan fiction. There was a lot of time and effort put into the story. It's a pretty good parody of Snow White. I could definitely say, Bailey, you did a really good job with this story, and I hope you do more, crossovers of that, like Beauty and the Beast, for example. Maybe you could do that one day. I would love to see that, actually. But I could definitely would like to hear more of your stories, like whenever you get a chance to write more stories. And I will try to get to your Nightmare on Station Square story whenever I get a chance to. I will definitely get to that. But other than that, this fan fiction was very well done. And I could definitely say there was time and effort put into it. And it was just flat out beautiful. Especially with the grammar, and everything being fixed up a little bit. That's totally fine. Like, I don't mind people taking the time to edit the stories, especially if I'm reading them. Anyways, what did you all think about this fan fiction? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here. And I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.